Good evening. Welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans, the thing show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so called African American didn't find themselves in America in the trunk of a ship. This is back with you again today to give you another 5 minutes of funk. And the 5 minutes of funk are definitely dedicated to the youth of the so called Black African American, or whatever they're called at the time. It's for the young people. And I say youth, and I'm talking about 25 and below. Because it seems that the majority of people, 75, 90 on down, not all, but most are making sure that the younger generation have no information to navigate their way through the future. No information is given. So I just want to hand you guys down some things that were given to your grandmothers and grandfathers to make them what they are. Excuse me. Now, on this one, if you guys are 25, around 25, 20, you might want to ask your grandmothers, grandfathers, Albertha, how you doing, love? Good to see you. So I'm just going to give you little pieces of what your grandmothers and grandfathers were giving. You are going to have to figure these things out because these are the things that helps transmorgify people. And the definition of transmorgify, I got the word. If you ever saw a movie, Stand By Me with Morgan Freeman trying to make this inner city high school better, he uses the word transmorgify. And all transmorgify means is to change, to be thoroughly changed, to change them to what they were in the movie, which were idiots, change them into something better. You've seen a whole bunch of movies like that, where these people go into the inner city in these schools, and the schools are akin to zoos. The children don't know how to act, they don't know how to speak. Then they take it to the home. The same thing is going on in the home. So this is what transmogrify means, just to thoroughly change. But to thoroughly change a people, you have to put it in the culture to make them want to change or to make you want to change them. One of the ways we can see is what we're seeing now is through music. You can change people through music. Simple. With the Nigro, that's especially so. You can play a song about killing their mamas and daddies, the Negro will shake their heads to it. This is the reality of things now. This is what you're seeing now. And like I'm saying, this is for the youth 25 and under. Once you get about 40 years old and you haven't learned anything or you don't want to learn nothing, it's basically a wrap. You're not going to learn anything because you have trained yourself not to learn anything. And if you ask people 40 to 50 years old to give you an original thought, they can't do it. They'll complain that their heads hurt because they've never used their brains before. This is a fact. And this is why I talk to the African American community, because this is the community that most of my family is in. Well, all of my family is in. And what I'm saying to you is exactly how they roll. They don't know anything. not trying to know anything, not trying to teach the children anything. They're just trying to get paid. And those of you who have eyes open now can see where this is going. If you don't see where it's going, or if you can't see where it's going, ask some people in your community or ask some people around you. They'll show you. So transmogrify means to completely change. One of the ways that you get people to change is that you start, like we said earlier, movies, music, clothes, but around your grandfather's time, your grandmother's time, this was in the mid 60s, there was a game, a little toy called Strange Change Machine. And they only made it for 1 year. They didn't make it for a long time because they were concerned that people will get hurt. I don't know why, because it showed you a little things, some things about how you can change or you can transmorgify people by just raising the temperature. Simple. Everything that's done to you is done simply. It's not nothing you have to learn science, you have to go to school for. All you have to do is observe. So this game, Strange Change Machine, all you did was put some plastic on some heat, and the heat would change the plastic into any monster you wanted to. It could be a monster, a one-eyed cyclops, a car, an airplane, whatever. This was a toy I'm sure many of your grandparents played with. Very important, because all you had to do was add heat. Now, do I mean heat like the sun heat? No. Do I mean heat like fire heat? No. You just got to raise the body temperature. What is the simplest way to raise the body temperature in the human, especially the so-called black man or the so-called African American? It's simple. All you do is piss them off, and they'll get mad and lose their minds, tear up the cities, which is what they were doing in the mid to late 60s. So I'm talking to a brother, older brother. This brother's old enough to be my older brother. And we were talking about this game. He hit me to this information that I'm passing to you now. Because what I try to pick up from some of the elder people who have been on top of it is to pass it on to you so that you would just have it in your little arsenal. So when you're figuring things out, you can jump back to stuff like this. He said not only this toys, but there were several toys that were put out in the 60s to get people to make you want to change. Because remember, back in the 60s, that's when a lot of immigrants were coming through. I know we just think they came on the Ninta, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, but no, they were coming through all the years, 50s, 40s, 20s, 100s, 60s, 80s. But since this is our home, we're sequestered in these little cities and these towns, we really don't pay attention to what's going on. So this game, all you had to do was put a little piece of plastic onto the heat, and the heat would change the little piece of plastic to a monster or whatever you want to do. Here's the instructions for it right here. So right here, You just get a little piece of little plastic, put it in the heating pad, make it into a monster, put it back on the heating pad, and compress it back to the block that it was in. Doesn't that explain how the African American Negro is changed and conformed all the time? Since the 60s, it's been done at least 10 times that I can count. How you change people. Because remember, in the 60s, the term African American wasn't used. You were stuck on the term black then. African American came later. You didn't call yourself what you were. People were working to transmorgify you, to change you to what they wanted you to be. And by the looks of things, they were successful. Like I say, this is not everybody. Not all so-called African American, blacks, Hebrew Israelite, not 100% is like this. But I would say 90s, high 90s to the high 90s. So for the young people, the arrogant ones, the ones who think they know everything and you can't tell them nothing, pay attention, ask questions. Ask your grandmothers and grandfathers, ask your aunts, ask people who are old enough to be your brothers and sisters, uncles and aunts. Ask them what has happened in the past 50 years. And I say past 50 years because that's enough time for you to grasp and to understand what has happened. When you start going back to 100 years and stuff, things start getting confusing if you don't have no context to attach it to. And most of us don't. We'll just get something, pick it up, and put what we think we know on top of it, thereby confusing the whole thing. That's what you're seeing now. People are getting information. They're not trying to find out who put out the information. They're just taking the information, putting their Hebrew Israelite slant, their Moor slant or African slant on it, and messing it up even more. So pay attention to that. So this is how you transmorgify or change. You do it through song, movies, dance, commands, but it's done through the toys that are put out. And this is just one example of one of the toys that it was put out on, and it was put out to. So these concepts and these ideas, they're going to be more prevalent now that this AI is taking place. So find out who you are. Remember, when these people came here, you didn't introduce yourself as black man. You didn't introduce yourself as black woman. You had names that you came up with, that your people came up with. That's who you are. It's just that simple. So a lot of stuff is to make you confused, make you don't know stuff, make you say stuff so that when other people hear it, they know you're an idiot and they know they could use you and get over on you. That's the whole purpose of the African American. That's the whole purpose of the black man. So incoming foreigners, you can make them feel like they're at home by being nothing. Ask your grandmothers, grandfathers, uncles, and aunts, what other games, what other phrases. They'll tell you. They'll remember. Show them this video, spread this around. Some of them will remember this. But you're always being used to make other people comfortable. And the only way, it's not the only way, but one of the ways to raise your body temperature to get you mad, have the cops beat up somebody, show it on TV, have you going crazy on TV. And that's to get your body temperature so you can be changed, to get you hot under the collar so you can be changed. That's all it takes. This is African Americans Ain't Africans with another 5 minutes of funk. We'll see you next time. Peace.